Hey guys, Owen here with Seek Outside. Today I want to walk you through how to set up your large Uturn stove. When you receive your large Uturn stove, you're going to receive two pieces. You're going to receive the main bag here, labeled large Uturn, and then you're also going to receive a stovepipe storage tube with all the extra goodies in it. So damper and your side, and depending on if you selected to have stovepipe as well. So we're going to get to removing all of our pieces here. I'm going to set this aside for a moment. In here, we're going to take this apart. We should have one top, one front with a door, 4 legs, piece of our damper, and the bottom. In the stovepipe storage tube, we're going to have our side to be rolled up, and then we're going to have our hardware kit for the large Uturn stove, and we're also going to have a partially assembled damper. Now that we have all the pieces laid out, we're going to begin assembly of the stove. First, I'm going to take my hardware kit, open it up, and I'm going to grab a wing nut. This is what a wing nut looks like. I'm now going to grab one of my legs, and I'm just going to start threading this up one of the legs. It makes it a lot easier to assemble a stove when you kind of already have the legs pre-assembled. The nice thing is you only really have to do this once, and then you can just kind of set them and leave them. So I'll put that wing nut up just a few inches, so probably 2.5 inches up this leg. Like about there is fine. I'm going to take that leg and I'm going to put a foot onto the bottom of this. Just thread it on a few times. And there we go. There we have our initial kind of setup of the leg. So we're going to go ahead and do that for the rest of them. All right, now that we've finished attaching the legs and some bottom wing nuts to the legs of the stove, we're now going to go ahead and start to get ready for some assembly here. So now you're going to want to take your front and your top, which is going to have a hole for the stovepipe, which is going to want to face to the back. So you're going to want to have this hole away from the front of the stove. And we're going to take our large Uturn side here. We're going to unwrap this. Okay. So you're going to notice on these sides that there is some slits here. These are designed to be on the bottom of the stove, and these are supposed to overlap, which I will show you here in a moment. What I like to do, now the first time setting up your Uturn stove is going to be a pain in the butt because the metal hasn't burned in yet. Once it's burned in, it gets a little bit easier. So what I like to do, I'll go ahead. You'll have a slot here and a slot here. You want to make sure these attach together like that. And you want to do the same on the other side. So I'll go ahead and unravel this. This slot here is going to attach into here. Okay. All right. Now push the front of the stove towards the front. And then we're going to take our slit. I like to just bend it just a hair. Like that out. Get away. And then you're going to get that over the edge here. And like I said, the first few times setting this up, because it hasn't been burned in, can and will be just a hair bit frustrating. So bear with it the first few times, as it's just new metal that's never been burned in. So we're going to go ahead and bend the slit out on this side. There's 2 slits on this stove. Okay. Get this ready. I'm going to try and fit the rest of this into the back of the stove like that. Okay, so now we have our U-turn side in. Now what I would like to do is take the top with the stovepipe hole facing towards the back of the stove. And we're going to try and configure this in here without removing it from the bottom. Okay. Which again, the titanium can be pretty unruly. Okay. Now this part is where the legs come in, and this is a very critical part because you want to take your time here, be very cautious. What I prefer to do is I'll take the stove and I'm going to sandwich it. So I'm going to pick it up and sandwich it in between the top and the bottom. The door is going to fall off there. And we're going to hold it in between my waist right here. So I'm retaining this U-turn wall inside. I'm going to thread one of the back legs in. On the U-turn, you're going to have 2 wing nuts up at the top. One on the bottom of the top of the stove, and one on the top. Again, can be just a little unruly since it's all new pieces of the stove, so just be real careful here. Okay. So I'm just going to thread this through here. I'm going to attach this wing nut nice and careful. Thread it down about 1/2 inch. Okay. Sandwich the stove again. Push that through the top hole. And then sandwich these 2 wing nuts together in between the top. And that's going to add a lot of structural rigidity to the U-turn stove. I'm just going to hold it like this. Be cautious. Okay. And then I will adjust this bottom wing nut to hold it all together from the bottom. Again, once you have all the measurements correct after your first burn-in and your first time putting it together, it's going to be a lot easier. So now I'm going to flip it around to the front. And I'm going to run on the other side. So we have this up here on the top. We're going to do this on the bottom on the front. We'll run this through. It's easier with the door off. We go ahead and grab another wing nut here. Sandwich this. Attach the wing nut to the top here. This leg. Cool. There we go. And then I'm going to adjust from the bottom right here. Make sure this is tight. Now if you made it this far, good job. Because that's going to hold the stove together for the most part. Now, you can kind of let go of it. I'm going to run this piece through. It starts to get quicker. Run this piece through and poke it out the top. Put a wing nut on there. Bring this down. Adjust the bottom wing nut to hold the stove together. Cool. Tighten it down. Don't tighten it down too hard. And we're going to flip this over here. This will be an even better example of how this goes together. So this goes through the back. You're going to thread on the wing nut. Which with the freshly cut threads can be exciting here. All right. Okay, there we go. We got it on about 1/2 inch down. We're going to poke this through the hole. Boom. And then wing nut number 2 goes on top and sandwiches it all together. Okay, and then we go ahead and tighten this down. And we have the box of our stove officially built and ready to go. So all we got to do now is the damper. It's a super simple process. You're going to look for the largest hole. There's 2 holes, 1, 2. Looks like this one is going to be mine that I go through. I'm going to run the shepherd's hook through here. Space it through. I'm going to pull it in, squeeze the damper, and it's in. Push that through the hole, and there you go. You have dampening capabilities. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys now know how to set up your large Uturn stoves. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and like us on Facebook and Instagram at Seek Outside. Have an amazing day.